Welcome back to the Transform Your Mind to Transform Your Life radio, podcast, and television show. I'm your host, life coach Myrna Young, and sitting in the guest chair today is Dr. Bob Ramirez. Dr. Ramirez and I are going to be talking on the topic um, America's, let's see, where is it? Solving America's retirement crisis, unlocking account strategies for financial freedom. Welcome, Dr. Ramirez.
Myrna, thank you so much. And I know before we get started, I just want to thank you for everything you do on all these podcasts. I know you've already done hundreds of them, and your knowledge that you've been able to impact on all the people and your guests, it's just fantastic. Just a wealth of information. Thank you for all the things that you do. I
Well,
appreciate
thank
it.
you. I so
Yeah.
appreciate that. One of the things that I do is I'm continually learning. And so when you're learning, then you can almost speak on any topic. But the universe also helps because most of the times, I schedule interviews,
hmm
months in advance. And most of the times, by the time I come on the show, there is something fresh that helps me with my conversation. And I think I just told you that I just came back from a financial conference on Saturday, and today we're recording on Monday. So I'm also fresh. So I will be able to really impress you today, hopefully.
Excellent.
So thank you. All right, guys. Well, nice tantalizing introduction. So let me give you a brief introduction. Dr. Robert Ramirez, a professor and leading authority in business leadership, investing, and technology management, with over 20 years of experience as an educator, author, and speaker. Dr. Ramirez has been dedicated to helping people achieve financial security since 2008. His book, Achieving Financial Freedom, along with his powerful speeches and insightful interviews, empowers individuals to explore diverse investment opportunities and stay ahead in today's ever-changing financial landscapes. Awesome. So, Dr. Ramirez, we're going to get right in. Your work, you talk about the financial myths about retirement. So let's start off by telling about some of the top financial myths about retirement.
Okay, that's a good one to start with. Um, so I'm a baby boomer and I'm getting ready to retire in the next few years. I'll probably work a little bit part-time, but as I was checking into retirement, I'm realizing that 11,000 baby boomers retire every day. 11,000, that's huge, right? And what I found out is about 47% of those people, they're going to outlive their retirement money. And that's crazy to think about. Well, and it actually happened because, well, let's go back to 1935. Roosevelt, provided Social Security, but at that time in 1935, most people were living to 67, 68, maybe, right? But now we're living 20, 25, 30 years longer. So if you retire at 65, 95, right? It's very possible to live into 95 because we've got better biological drugs. We're exercising more. We're trying to eat healthier. We're trying to live better um, lifestyles. We live in a better environment. So people are living longer. And the people didn't think about having to have enough money to live off of for the next 25, 30 years. So that's why we have almost 50% of the people that are going to run out of money. So we have to do things in order to set ourselves up for retirement. And one of the myths
That's the
are,
first myth. Okay, okay, right.
well,
So,
well, no, one of the myths are that Social Security is going to take care of it all, and that's not correct. Social Security is only going to take care of about 30 to 35% of your retirement income. It wasn't made to be all of your retirement. And also, we don't know what's going to happen with Social Security in the future. It could be reduced by 20% as it's starting to have a shortfall with Social Security. And so we just don't know. So you can't depend on that. Social Security would not be taking care of everything. You've got to have what I call passive income coming in so that you have enough money and you've got to have good investments. And but another one of those myths are that Medicare is going to take care of everything for you in terms of you know, your medical needs. And that's not the case either. It's going to take care of your basic needs, but if you've got, extreme things that you have to take care of, and even your, you know, your vision and your dental and other things, Medicare takes care of a very small portion of that. So, and as we age, are we going to spend more money or less money on medical for ourselves? Obviously, we're going to have to spend more money as we age. So, that's not true either, that Medicare is going to take care of those things. Um, so we can't rely on that. So that's, off the top of my head, that's, a couple of the myths.
Okay.
Um, let's see. What's another myth? You
It's
caught me off
okay.
guard with that question, but
Let me rebuttal on that. So yes, so now this is where I get to share my knowledge about my conference this weekend.
excellent.
So what they were teaching you that the purpose of the conference was to tell you, to invest in passive income. This is basically what you're
Oh,
saying. That passive income, whether it be learning how to trade stocks or invest in real estate and things like that. But they were going after it on the basis that 70% of people are going to retire with about $70,000 in their retirement account. And they're saying that 70,000 is not enough because,
oh,
we all know that, yeah, the same thing where most of the people are going to live, in their 90s or so
yeah.
because of almost everything can be, rejuvenated, right?
Hmm.
I mean, my
Hmm.
last interview was with stem cells, where you can do all these different things, so you're going to live longer. But my rebuttal is this. So, why, I'm from the African American community,
Hmm.
right? We don't retire rich, right? We don't retire rich. I'm sorry. We're not the 50, the white, population that has inheritance and, maybe have great white collar jobs and put money in their 401k and leave with, half a million or $1 million in their 401k. So I'm thinking, so in my community, if you got $70,000 when you retire and you're getting Social Security, which is somewhere between $1,200 and $1,600 a month, what is the problem? So break it down for me. Why are
Well,
we going to run out of money? To me, that's a lot of money.
well, yeah, yeah, for each person, it's different. You've got to figure out, well, how much are you spending now, right? Have your budget. What are you spending now? And and then
Let's
are you gonna?
assume that your house isn't paid off, right? So you just got rent and food. I mean, not sorry, you don't have rent and food. Your mortgage is paid off because most of us have 30-year mortgages. So when you
Yes,
retire, hopefully the mortgage is
yes.
whatever. So you just got food. What do you need all this money for?
You'd be surprised of how many people that their mortgages are not paid off because they've had to borrow money
True,
and right
true.
and
Right,
for their
right.
kids and education and things like that.
And they
So
refinance the mortgage. Right. Okay, so that's one instance.
exactly.
Right.
So, but
Mhm.
everybody's got to do a budget and figure out, well, what are they spending now? And people will say, well, when I retire, I need less money. But for example, I've got six kids, and one lives in Brazil, one lives in Tennessee, and their families are all married with kids. Another one lives in Utah. So if I want to go see them, I've got to fly out there and travel. So as I have more time because I'm not working as much, I'd like to spend more time with my grandkids. Well, that's all expensive to travel, and especially
Okay.
internationally. And so you're not, and then are you going to be spending more money on healthcare? Probably yes, and you can have more time to go out to lunches or dinners with your friends. So you're really not going to spend less money in your retirement unless your house is paid off. That's,
Right.
possibly. So you're going to need about the same amount of money. So you have to figure out, well, how much money is that? And then, you can kind of figure out the math.
Okay.
And 70,000 would not get you there. I'm I'm sorry. Unless you really cut your costs.
Right.
And
Okay.
yeah.
Well, that's basically what they're saying, and that's basically what you're saying. So, yeah. So, how are you, teaching our retirement community to put more in that? So, let me ask you a question. What is the amount that is floating out there? Everybody's going to be different, but what is the amount that's floating out there that is the good number? What's the good number? What's the number that people should aspire to get to?
Ooh, well, you realize it's different. It's different for everybody, and might even be different depending on what part of the country you live in, right? I live in California, which is very,
Wow.
very expensive,
Get a million
S-
there.
right? So first of all, I would say you almost need $1 million per person. So if you're married, that's like $2 million. So that's quite a bit. But realize that that money's got to last you for 25, 30 years. So what do you do? How do you get there? Well, one, we talked about Social Security, and one of the things that I'm personally doing is I'm not going to take my Social Security till I hit the age of 70. And that's because for each year that you wait after your full retirement, you get an extra 8%. So that's,
Mm,
if you, let's say you wait 3 years, that's 24% more money. Well, that's significant. You had mentioned, well, let's say I think you said $1,500 of Social Security, but if you can wait till you're 70, and why not if we're healthy and we're working, why not wait? Because you can collect that extra 24% for the rest of your life. And that's real money, and I consider that, you know, kind of safe money.
okay.
So you want to do that, and you want to create that passive income so that you do have other things, other ways to have money coming in.
Right. So that was the focus of the seminar. So how do you teach your, people in the book or where you're also a coach. So how do you teach them to accumulate passive income? What is the avenues?
Well, you mentioned from the conference that you went to, some of the things that they spoke about at first is bringing in passive income
Mm.
through investing and real estate. And it so happens that those are my top two as well.
Yeah.
Having some rental real estate that
Mhm.
eventually gets paid off, and then you've got that income coming in, and you
Mhm.
can, over time you raise the rents, and so it keeps up with inflation. That's an excellent way. Investing's another excellent way. Too many people don't know how to invest, or they rely on somebody else to make their investment decisions.
Right.
And as you know, things change so quickly and rapidly with technology. But it's people should be more involved in investing for themselves. They could also use an investor, but an investor, you might meet with them once a quarter, 4 times a year, and he'll say, okay, this is where we got your money invested in. This is how you did. These are the few changes we're going to make. But you're not going to, it's not, to me, it's not aggressive enough, right?
Hmm.
So if you learn how to invest and you monitor your investments on a weekly basis instead of just every quarter, financially you can do much better, much better. Let me give you
Right.
an example. An
Hmm.
example of that is if you've heard of many years ago, there was something called I want to, well, right now you can look at the Magnificent Seven. Magnificent Seven is seven companies that are some of the best U.S. companies, and they all involve technology. And they're companies like Amazon and Google and Apple and Microsoft and Tesla. And for the last 3 years, they've been huge in terms of the amount of money they've been able to make for their investors. And we're talking about 45% per year. Well,
Wow.
that's huge. And if you know about the S&P 500,
Hmm.
the average has been between 8, maybe 10%, but if you count in inflation, maybe it's 8% for the last 50, 60 years. That's been the average. So you want to do better than the average. Well,
Mm.
as an investor, there's definitely ways that you can do much better than the average person, making 8%, or working with their advisor who might give them slightly better than 8%. So people need to, learn how to invest and take a portion of your investments and be a little bit more risky. Um,
Yes. Well,
to
it's really interesting, and I'm smiling because I've always been the type of person says, I don't have time. I mean, I go, every somebody says, go down the S&P 500 index, and that's, pick your mutual funds or funds, basically that. And I've always said, I don't have time because I do a lot of things. I'm an entrepreneur, I'm busy, and I don't have the time, right? But I went to this conference and
yeah,
I signed up for a 3-day stock trading class or day trading class or whatever they're talking about, because they're saying exactly the same thing. They're saying that you don't know what's in your funds, and I don't. Who's managing your funds? You don't even know the name of the person, and I don't. Right? I just leave it totally to them. And they're saying that if you, what their consensus was is that these fund managers
hmm
charge you fees. And to give an example, now, it's probably a sales pitch, so I'm not quite sure how accurate it is, but they give an example of if you've got $1 million in your fund, 700,000 in that are fees if it's 2% or something like that. So what they're trying to tell you is that you can keep those management fees for yourself and learn to do your own trading. And they have a software that looks at these companies and scores them and tell you when to buy and when to sell. And that's basically, so I'm thinking, okay, I'm on board. So I signed up for the classes because I want to learn. I want
hmm
to do something with my money other than, get
right.
cent or something. So that's interesting. I told you that I have all this information
That's excellent. That's
for
excellent
a
because,
conversation. Mhm.
and then at least you can be much more knowledgeable so that you can have those conversations with your who's ever managing your money. Like, okay, what percentage do you charge?
Yeah.
Why am I only making less than 8% if the market, if the SPY is averaging this percent, what's
Mhm.
happening? And you can be at least you can have stronger conversations with the person who's helping you. But what I would do what you said you're going to do and start with a portion of your money
Okay.
and see how see how you do.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
there's
Yeah.
something called what you can do and uh I'm not I don't day trading is very difficult. And honestly you probably don't have the time to be a day trader because you're an entrepreneur and you do so many
Yes.
other things. Because with a day
Yes.
trader, you got to be watching each tick and staying on top of things.
Right.
And it's time consuming and you probably don't have that.
Right.
But a momentum trader is somebody that is in a stock maybe from 1 or 2 days all the way to 6 months. And what a momentum trader does is they they look for things that are giving the stock momentum in order to you buy a stock, and if momentum it's on its back, that's going to push that stock up, and
Mhm.
then you can get out of that trade if it's no longer making you any money. Well,
Probably what
so
they're talking about because they said
yeah,
something about watching to see um, who's buying stock or who's
hmm
dumping stock. So something similar to that. And
yeah,
then when supply is high or demand is low, something like that, then they tell you to buy or tell you to sell. So maybe I'm calling it day trading because I have never been involved in stocks. I don't know what, but I know they're teaching you to watch it. You're managing it yourself,
yeah,
and you got
yeah,
to watch it. So I
yeah,
don't know if it's by the day, but I like what you said. So now when I go to this class, I will ask them if this is day trading or momentum trading. You see, I got that new word.
yeah. And there's long-term trading where you're buying really good companies and you just keep buying those good companies. And there's a benefit to that as well. And the benefit is so let's say I'll use Google for an example, not Google. I'll
Amazon.
use my um I'm going to use Tesla as an example. So
Okay.
recently Tesla has gone up quite a bit. Ever since Elon Musk
Yeah.
has his connection
Right.
with the to-be
Oh,
president,
right.
and he's been able to benefit, and Tesla's stock has gone up because
Yeah.
they say they're going to have less regulations for the taxis, that driverless taxis. So that's kind of like an example of momentum, and that's why the stock has been going up.
Mhm.
And then what you do as a trader, you have a stop loss. And a stop loss says, okay, well, if I'm wrong in what I think is going to be happening, then I set my stop loss not to lose more than 8%, maybe 10%, so that
Mm,
you automatically get out of the trade. You don't
mm.
watch it go down. But if you're a long-term trader and you believe in the company of Amazon, let's say, or Tesla, then it's okay if it goes down because you're just buying it every 2 weeks or every paycheck. And if it goes down, that just means you're buying more stocks at a cheaper price, right?
Mhm. So you have
Mm,
confidence.
so you have
They call
confidence,
those
right?
what, right? They call that, is that a company? What they call those companies that you know that their long-term growth is pretty secure? Is there a name for
Alpha.
those companies?
Uh,
Huh?
When you're doing better than the S&P, it's you're an alpha trader. I don't know if that's the term that they used, alpha.
Okay. Okay.
But many years ago, we had the FANG stocks, and FANGs, the F was for Facebook, A was for Amazon, N was for and Netflix, and G was for Google. And those stocks went up really high, way above the S&P for 10 years. Well,
Hmm.
think about what's in common with those stocks. And if you think about what's in common in those stocks, they're things that people use in their everyday lives.
Mm.
And they all use technology because these companies can build the technology once, keep expanding on that, and then push it out worldwide, like Apple and their phones, or like Facebook or Netflix and Google. So technology is really big. So my recommendation to you is when you're looking for a stock, look at the underlying, look at the technology and how
Mm.
they can roll that out.
Right. Okay.
And that's what's happening with AI too. We've got part of the reason for the growth of the Magnificent Seven, which are doing so good, is they're all looking at AI and implementing AI into their technology in order to help them reduce costs and grow faster.
Right. Yeah.
So
Yeah. AI is big, right? So yeah, I was, interviewing someone on the topic of AI, and they're saying, yeah, if you don't jump into it for your business, then you're going to be left behind, you know. Um, but that's pretty good that you brought up AI, because I'm wondering if there is an AI app that helps you uh pick stock and or like if you're evaluating stock, is there an AI tool that helps you do that?
actually, there is. So there's new platforms um, with AI built in them that will go out and do a lot of the work for you, evaluate the stock, and alert you to good stocks to buy. A couple
Wow.
companies that I can think of off the top of my head is I Know First is one, and Traders. I think it's called Trade Ideas, but it's basically AI powered stock analysis tool. So they're using AI, and AI, the way I think of AI is you're used to Googling something, right? And I call it getting the information from Professor Google. You type out something like what football games are playing today, and Professor Google will tell you these are the games that are playing today. Well, AI actually can it's so fast and so much data available, it can summarize the best of what it's getting from Professor Google very quickly. So it is able to analyze a lot of information super quick
Wow.
and look for the best information. So AI is just much more powerful than even Google is. It's
Oh, you're
just
kidding.
right,
Wow.
because it's when you Google you're getting back a piece of information and then you scroll down to see exactly what you're looking for. But with AI, it can do all that for you in an instant and give you back really good responses. So
Wow.
definitely everybody should be starting to use AI and learn how to use it. Companies are still playing around with it, testing it, implementing it, seeing how it can save them money. So if you look for companies to invest in that are starting to use AI and they use technology already, those are some positive things,
Hmm.
right? Because if
Very good.
if you
Very
if
good.
you're gonna if you're buying a
So
company that
those
just sells,
fees, yeah, those fees that those fund managers are charging you, they're gonna have to lower it because now you can do it yourself with AI, right?
that's true.
Right.
That's true.
Mhm.
And most people invest by they work for a company and their company, if the company promotes the 401ks. And so
Hmm.
people will put, okay, I'll put so much of my, I'll put 10% of my paycheck into a 401k. And within the 401k, you're able to select, let's say, 3 or 4 funds out of the 10 or 12 that they give you. But
Right,
that's all. There's so much more out there than those mutual funds. So what I do invest in my 401k so that I can get the matching from my company. And then I,
right.
I move that money into my own individually managed accounts,
Oh,
my
nice.
Roth and my IRA. And then I've got I've got all the stocks available for me to trade in.
So
Plus,
that is
for
that what's
example,
called self-directed?
yeah,
Okay. Right.
self-directed, right?
Okay.
And,
Okay.
and I like to take a certain portion and be much more aggressive. For example, I understand what's happening with Bitcoin and blockchain, and so I've got a small percentage invested in Bitcoin and those ETFs like Ethereum. And recently, they've done super well. They've
I know.
outperformed the market. I mean, they've
Well,
done
yeah,
super
another
well. So you
Trump
don't
bump.
need, yeah.
Yes.
It is another Trump bump, but it's been
Right.
doing good since, it came out in 2009.
Mm,
And it's really going to be transforming, blockchain is really transforming uh, how we use money and how money is moved around. So they call it financial technology, and it's not going to go away. It's just going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. So those who start investing early and who understand
mm,
it, they're gonna do well. So
wow.
those are the types of things that you cannot do in your 401k funds. You
Right.
you can't invest in Bitcoin and Ethereum and some of the other ones. Um,
Mm,
one thing that happened in the beginning of 2024 was ETFs. ETF stands for electronic traded funds, which are cheaper than mutual funds. You're only paying like a quarter of 1%, for example, point oh 0.02, point oh 0.02. And so they're a lot cheaper, but there's they're a lot safer. And you got all these companies like BlackRock and Fidelity and Grayscale that are now selling like Bitcoin and Ethereum and other cryptocurrencies. And you don't have to worry about how you having a cold wallet, putting it in storage offline, all the things that were the technical issues that we had to worry about with those things years ago. You don't have to worry about that anymore because it's in an ETF and you can see it every day and you can manage it every day. You can buy it and then sell it the next day. So ETFs, I love the ETFs in terms of managing those type of
okay.
investments, and they're cheaper than the mutual funds. So
I like
always
that.
recommend
You know,
those.
I
Yeah.
use reality, so I'm going to look for that.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. Fidelity has um, their own, now I'm not gonna say cryptocurrency funds that
Oh,
you can,
wow.
yeah,
Okay.
that you can invest in. And, you know, people have to decide, how risk averse they are. But, if, you start with a small percentage and you
Mhm.
start learning about it, the way I think of investing is, and so many things that we do, they're skill sets. And there's so much information out there that we can learn just by taking the time to study that, we can get information from AI and Google information and YouTube, very powerful. So you can teach yourself a skill set. I mean, we got 6.5 inches of brain power there, and we just need to keep learning new skills and don't stop once you retire. Keep learning new skills, so that we can keep up with
Yeah.
technology and what's happening.
Well,
But we can
well,
teach ourselves all these things.
yes, I'm in the personal development space, and
Yes.
I've always prided myself on the fact that I keep learning. You know, I read books every day. You know, I
Hmm.
walk and I listen to audiobooks, and then I read at night before I go to bed. So I'm always learning.
Exactly what I do. Hmm.
But I was listening to Jim Rohn, because I've started now. You know, he was the founder of the personal development space, and everybody
Yes.
references him. So I said, you know what? Why don't I go directly to the source? So I'm starting to read his books, and he stumped me with something he said. He says, well, how many books you've read in the last 90 days? I got that covered. He says, but how many classes have you taken in the last 6 months to upgrade your skill sets? Zero. So
Yeah,
that's
good point.
why I started now. Like I told you, I've signed up for two classes. I'm doing a real estate class, even though I'm a realtor, but I can learn some more things. And the stock
Hmm.
trading class. But he is the one that put that in my brain. You're right. So you should upgrade your skill sets. Do at least two classes every 6 months, or even two classes a year, one every 6 months. And yes, so so I'm glad that
Everybody
you say that. Yeah.
everybody has to invest in themselves, right? You can't help
Mhm.
until you have your own family household financially, set. You can't, it's hard to help other people until you're able to take care of yourself. But if you can do better by learning more skill sets and then it helps you to do financially better,
Yeah.
then everybody's going to benefit. And I call it the five pillars of to master success. Mindset to me is the most important thing. You've got to have that positive mindset, like I know you have, the mindset that you can learn a new skill,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Two is you got to take the time to learn these skills. And they're all learnable. Everybody can, as long as you spend the time, can learn them.
Hmm.
And then we add value to our lives or to our jobs because we've learned these new skills. And
Yes.
then, there's communication, which is so important. You have to be able to communicate that you know these skills
Right.
and
Right. Right. Hmm.
communicate with other people. And then there's the discipline. Like you said, you walk every day, you listen to podcasts and you want to learn your skills. So those are my pillars that I kind of live by that I try to impart to
By the
others
way,
as
I listen
well.
to books. I
Mm.
sometimes listen to podcasts.
Yeah. Well, books are great. That's yeah.
I listen to
But you
books. Right. Right.
but you're exercising at the same time. You're walking or
Yes.
you're at
Yes.
the gym and you're listening to
Yes.
a book
Yes.
and Jim Rome is excellent. I I I've only listened to pieces.
Yeah.
But I thought I heard a number, and maybe it came from Jim or somebody else. They said you shouldn't there's a certain amount of money that you should invest in yourself all the time,
Yeah. Yeah.
and
That's it.
don't.
Yeah. He just I had never heard that before, even though a lot of thought leaders and coaches always quote him. But I have never heard what he says. He says that you should live on 70%, 10% you should tithe, 10% you should be investing, and 10% you should make passive income on, like let the bank pay
Oh,
you interest, right? So that's basically what he said. Yes. The 70-30 rule. Yep.
okay. You have to tell me the name of that book. I'll have to listen to that as well.
It's yeah, the one I'm listening to now, it's seven strategies for financial success. But the one before that I listened to was the power of ambition. And a lot of times when you have a concept, you repeat it. So he had the 70-30 rule in the ambition one, and now he's got it in the success, seven strategies for success. But if you just Google Jim Rohn, and I'm listening it on YouTube of all things. It's a YouTube book. So if you go on YouTube and just punch in Jim Rohn, all his books will come up. So
Excellent.
yeah, yeah,
I'm gonna check those out
yeah,
because
right. It's like
I'm
good
like
book.
you. I love to learn, right? I love to
Yes,
keep on learning. And
yeah.
I'll tell you that my story, real quick,
Mhm.
if you have a second,
Of course.
is my mom came from Mexico and she immigrated legally but she only had a third grade education. Can you imagine that? She lived on a dirt farm in Mexico and she had a third grade education. But she pushed her kids. She had five kids. She pushed us to get an education,
Right.
and she had a great work ethic. She just taught me a great work ethic. Well, when I was a kid, I wasn't the smartest kid because my mom didn't speak English, and she couldn't help us with school because she only had a third grade education. So
Right.
I didn't do well at good at first. But what I learned is about working hard, and what I learned is I can outwork the other person. And that's what I've always done.
Most
And
immigrants do that.
yeah,
That's
yep,
their philosophy, right?
yep,
Hmm.
yep. And so, now I became a senior professor. I have my PhD and I still continue to learn and try
Learn.
to work harder than most other people.
Yes. Well, that's basically how I started off the conversation by saying that our community, Black and Brown community, are not going to
Hmm.
get $1 million when they retire because they're
Right.
starting from where you're starting. You know what I mean? They got to work hard and they have a paycheck, and usually have more month in check or whatever. They're not even really putting things in a 401k because you have to have special jobs in order to do that. And you talk
True.
about matching funds, you got to be in the corporate world. If you are what they call it, the new term after the pandemic, essential workers. You don't have no 401k,
Yes. Yes.
so yeah, but yes, I understand that. So, we've got to put these into context, but, you know, um, but what Jim Rohn is saying is that if you don't spend everything that you make. You save, you make, 10% work for you. Even if you're
Mhm.
not the type of person that gives to charity or tithes, at least even if you just do 90-10, you
You're
make
right.
10% of your money work for you by investing it in something that will give you passive income, even if it's just interest. But yeah, you don't spend all of it, right? The
Right.
Bible's talking
Right.
about if you eat your seed, then what are you going to plant, right? You don't eat
Right.
your seed. You got to put something back. So yeah, whether it's, you know, 50,000 or 1 million, the concept is still the same, right? You
Ex
need some money to, right? And if you're making money, then you put some of it away. In my culture, it was put it away for the rainy day. We weren't thinking about saving for retirement. My grandmother
right.
didn't know anything about that. She just said, you
Well,
save your money for the rainy day, right?
right. Right. Right.
So that's
And
really,
I guess and then you hope that your kids can take care of you.
yeah. Well, that's basically what they came from. But that's in Mexico, or maybe I'm from
Yeah.
Guyana, or, but
Uh-huh.
here your kids don't have to take care of you because you just said you've got Medicare when you get to 65, which takes care of most of your medical bills. Maybe it doesn't take care of everything. And then you get Social Security. I worked, I immigrated to this country
Hmm.
and I worked in this country for about 20 years or so. And I took my Social Security early. So I'm getting Social Security right now, because I'm self-employed
Yeah.
entrepreneur. So I like that little
Hmm.
security thing there. But my mother-in-law never worked a day in her life, and she gets more than me. I don't know how it comes, but she gets more than me. So this country gives you money, right? So your kids don't have to take care of you, right?
Was your mother-in-law was she married and to
Well,
right?
yeah,
And
she
then
was married. That's
he
probably
was
why she's
right
getting
because
spousal,
this
her
she's a
spouse status.
survivor, right?
Right,
Right. And then the way Social Security works is,
right.
for example, I my wife stayed home quite a bit to take care of the kids, so I'll make a lot more money in Social Security than she did.
Mhm.
Um, so, but if I was to pass away, she would get the higher of the two Social Securities,
Right.
which is good. That's a
Right. So
good
that's
benefit.
that's that's probably what's going on because
But
her
you know,
husband died about 10 years ago. Right.
we're both minorities, and here's something else for. I'm not a female, but you're a female, and here's something else that's hard for the females is I just mentioned they're usually the ones that stay home to raise the kids,
Right.
right? And so they're not putting monies on going into Social Security for them.
Right.
Plus, when they do work, they still make 17-20% less than the men,
Right.
and that's
Right.
not fair. And then when they get older, they end up caring for the man because they
Right.
usually outlive the
Right.
man. And
Right.
so um it's
What's the
it's not
solution there?
it's not right. I mean they get triple dinged.
Yeah. 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 So what's your solution for someone that's a woman that's working, part-time because she's got the kids in school and she works like a couple hours a week making a little money that she's not even putting any of it away. It's just money for her to buy groceries or something. What's your
Yes.
what's your advice for that woman?
Well, that woman needs to keep moving forward. Eventually, her kids will be raised, and if that woman needs to keep up her skill set so that she can do other things. Because some people think that, oh, okay, I turned 65, 67, I'm done learning, I'm done working. I don't, I can relax a little bit. But no, we have so much more to live after that. And you can make money in so many different ways. There's lots of opportunities, and they just have to keep moving. They got to keep that momentum going.
That's good advice.
It's never too late. Even though
Yes.
they're getting older and they're gonna retire, it's not too late to continue to make money. And
Yes. That's a good point. It's a good point.
yeah,
In fact,
yeah.
I met a friend at this conference, and that's basically what she was saying. She's an HR director. I think she took early retirement too, maybe at 62.
Hmm.
And now she's saying that her days are empty and she needs something to do. So that's why she came to the conference, you know what I mean? But yeah, I mean, we just started off by saying you're living until you're 95. So at 65, you're not old. 65, you shouldn't sit around for 30 years doing nothing. So
No. Back in cowboy times, you were super old, but we don't live in those times. And we have,
yeah, your
you know,
mind
we're
gets
we're
fried too. You
yeah,
need something to do, right?
yeah.
So
We're much, much, much healthier. And it's going to continue to, with all the new drugs coming out and biological drugs, it's going to continue to get better. My
yes.
wife ended up getting she was a nurse and she had to quit work because she got stage 4 cancer. But she was one of the lucky ones because they said, you know what, we just found this drug a few years ago and it treats your kind of cancer. So now
Wow,
she's in remission.
that's
And
beautiful.
but if it was 15 years ago, she probably wouldn't be alive these days because they didn't have that drug back
Oh,
then.
right. Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's um it's
Beautiful.
it's beautiful, it's
Well,
changing.
that's basically what's going on. I've heard people had 4 times cancer and they're still living
Yeah. Yeah.
because
Yeah.
because they just keep fighting it every single time. You're very right. There's
Yeah.
the technology is amazing. I love it. I love our conversation. Amazing. I just looked at the time and we've been talking and talking and office is awesome.
And
So
AI is
now
helping with that as well, with coming up with new
AI is doing that.
biological.
Oh,
Yeah,
really?
because it's able to do testing so much faster than they were
Wow.
able to test in the past. Now it can,
Okay.
with the power of AI, it can do
Wow.
all those simulations, hundreds of thousands of times very quickly, where it took them years and years and years to do that in the past.
That one I
So
did
it's
not
going to
hear.
get
I did
better.
not
Yeah,
hear that AI was in the medical equipment that we're using. So that's amazing. Yes.
yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. So we're going to live longer, and we're going to be smarter.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm working on that. That's why I walk like an hour and a half every day because I want to live longer and I also want to live healthier.
There you
So, and
go.
of course,
Yes.
I'm doing the mind, body, spiritual experience thing. So I'm hoping to increase my health span and not just lifespan. It's a new word
When
now.
Well, not only that,
Mhm.
I'm glad I connected to you because you pass on so much great information, so much knowledge to so many people, and I've learned from you. So thank you so much.
You're very welcome. I appreciate that. All right, so now let's talk about your book. Your book is called Achieving Financial Freedom, Building Wealth Through Passive Income in the New Digital Age of Financial Intelligence. So I'm assuming that's AI you're talking about there when you say financial intelligence. So tell us about your book. Why did you write it, and what do you want the readers to walk away with after reading?
But real quick, another quick story about myself. In 2008, before then, I was director of information technology for a few large companies in Southern California. Well, I lost that job in 2008, and I thought my company was bought out. I thought they would take me, I'd go to the next company, but
Kidding.
I didn't. They just took our data and our technology, but they didn't take any of the staff or employees.
Wow.
And at the time, companies were trying to figure out how to downsize. And so my wife and I, we had 6 kids and we ended up losing our house. We had to do a short sale on the house because I
Mm,
didn't have an income coming in to,
mm,
to pay the mortgage. And so
mm,
I told my wife, at that time, I am never going to rely on just one paycheck again. I'm going to figure out how to
mm,
make passive income so that if
mhm,
something happens to my primary job, I still have other streams of income coming in.
mhm,
Well, I ended up getting a job as a teacher, and then that moved me into a part-time teacher, and then a full-time teacher. And I started, as I learned more about passive income and getting out of debt and all those things, I started passing much of that information on to my students. And they loved it. And then I realized they don't know how to invest either. So I started teaching them how to invest, how
mhm,
to clean up the credit report and get out of debt, how to start in the stock market. And so I all those things, cryptocurrency and blockchain, some of the new technology. So all those things, I just, gathered up all those lectures and I put it together in a book, and that's how my book came about. And
Yeah.
now we were talking about retirement because that's going to be my next book, The Retirement Crisis in America, because
Mhm.
people are living so much longer. But my book has chapters and chapters of information on how to invest and how to get out of debt and how to get started and and so it's just all all the basic financial information that people need to know, hopefully is in one book. And
Well, I'm
so
going to read that one next. Is it on Audible? I mean,
so
is it on audio?
it is on
Okay.
audio, and that's
Okay. Well,
what
that's
it looks
basically
like.
how I'll consume it.
It
And
is
then,
on
so
audio,
yes, I
and
will. That's beautiful. That's
and
going to be my
it would
next book because I need
there
to
you
learn
go.
all that.
There you go. I think you would love it. It's just uh I try to cover all the bases, and it's not very difficult. I what as a teacher, you try to take more complicated information, you try to break it down to make it easier for everybody.
I
And that's the way my
love it.
book is as well. But it's current information that involves investing in cryptocurrency, and everybody should at least learn
Facts.
how to manage the people that are investing their money for them and
Yeah.
I have an idea of how to invest. And so that's all covered in the book. So thank you for
That's
asking about that. I appreciate that.
Well, you're very welcome. I tell you, it's my new space. It's my new space, you know what I mean? And it's never too late. I'm glad what you said. It's never too late. I mean, even if for someone that, never worked, well, the kids were in school, now is their time to go get a job and start looking after their, financial future. It's never too late. I love that.
No, no.
Listen, guys, this was a fantastic conversation. And like I said, I am so grateful to the universe that always brings me the information that I need to have really intelligent conversations at the time that I need it. Because if I'd had this conversation last week, I would not have been able to contribute anything to this. So this was a fantastic conversation. I enjoyed it so much. And of course, I'm on it. I'm going to pick up a copy of your book, and that will be, my resource to this class that I'm doing. So I'm going to have them both, and I will learn something about, create because that's basically what it is building wealth. What do you call it? Passive income or what? Building wealth through either stocks or real estate. A lot of people don't have money to do it in the real estate because real estate
Yeah.
costs hundreds of thousands of dollars. But you can get started with $500, $20. You don't need a lot of money to start investing in stocks, right? So,
No, no, you don't. No, you don't.
right. So,
And what I tell
yeah.
people, at minimum, be in the SPY index. The SPY index is the US's 500 largest companies that are doing well.
Uh-huh.
And so at least you're getting the market returns. And this year it's been, about 26%. That's
Wow.
huge. That is huge. So
Yeah.
if you have your money in a savings account, you're making a 0.5% or maybe
I
online savings
know.
account, maybe 4%. But
I
just
know.
even if you have your money in
I
the
have my
SPY,
money in I have my money in a bank account that was 3%. And the other day I wanted to, was going to get a CD that was charging 4.5%. But yeah, it's ridiculous. That's because I'm afraid of losing it.
yeah, yeah.
But I
Well,
have to
Warren
work on
Buffett, the best
that.
investor, Warren Buffett, he said
Uh-huh.
he's like 94. And he goes, when I pass away, I want 95% of my money to just be in an index fund for my wife and use the SPY index because at least you're going to get the market returns
Okay.
and the rest other 5% in bonds. And that was his advice. But
Mhm.
it makes sense because every single company, these large companies, when they have more sales, it's revenue, and so the stock goes up. All these companies are trying to do well, and that's why the stock prices go up. So
Mhm.
if you choose good companies,
Mhm.
then the market's going to go up, and that's what the SPY index is about. So very easy way to invest, the SPY index, SPY.
Right. And very, low risk according to you. So that's amazing. So, this was fantastic conversation, guys. So, tell our listeners where they can pick up a copy of your book. If you have a website that and social media handles that you want so for people to follow you after this conversation.
Thank you for
You're
that.
a wealth of information, so that'd be great.
So I've got a website called Dr. Robert Ramirez, and so you can get a hold of me there. So drrobertramirez.com, and then also on LinkedIn, you can just put in Dr. Robert Ramirez, and you find me on LinkedIn. And then, but my personal email address is my last name, Ramirez, Ramirez .bob@gmail.com. So you can connect with me those ways.
Okay, awesome. All
Oh,
right.
and
Well, listen.
my book is on Amazon, if I didn't say that.
Yeah, everybody knows that.
Okay,
Everybody knows that if you're going to be an author, then you need to be on Amazon. So, I mean,
correct.
I asked the question, but it's really a rhetorical question. But yes, all right. So I will have a, summary of my conversation, like an article. I don't do a full transcript anymore of the highlights of my conversation with Dr. Ramirez on the show page, which is myhelps.us. I will link out to his book. I'll link out to his LinkedIn, and I'll also link out to his webpage. So, yes, I mean, we're talking about investment for your future, but also investment for now. You make an extra, my ex-husband was somebody that never made money while he was, whatever. He's one of these people that, was lived by paycheck kind of thing. And he's in stock and he's watching stock and he's investing in stock. And he says, oh, I made $800 today. So everybody can do it. He is 77 right now and getting just a little bit of money off of Social Security, but he's using that to invest and do different
Hmm.
things. So it's never too late. So it's amazing. Um, so yeah, whether it's, whatever you're doing now, you can do it an extra $50 or $100 or $800 a day.
Well said. Yes,
Yes, right.
yes.
So go ahead
Just
and do it. And Dr. Ramirez is giving us the skills, whether it's by his book or what he posts on LinkedIn or on his website, to take advantage of that. So I am definitely going to pick up a copy of your book as far as listening to it. But I always like to, have reference. So I'm also going to get a physical copy of it too. Um, so you guys know what to do, right? So yes, go pick up a copy of his book and learn something. And we talked about continued learning. We talked about passive income, and we didn't get to cover your FICO score or tips that you can improve your FICO score, which is one of the questions I have here, but you didn't get to, but it's in his book.
it
So
is.
that's also important. All right. So we're fresh out of time. I think we even went over. So, Dr. Ramirez, any last words before we wrap up?
No, Myrna, I just want to thank you. You are fantastic and keep putting out that valuable information to everybody. You're helping so many people, many more people than you possibly even realize.
Well,
So,
thank you.
thank you for that great information. I'm going
You're
to keep
very
on
welcome.
listening.
All right. Well, thank you. I got a new fan. So
You do.
that's great. All right, guys. Well, listen, thanks for tuning in to this week's episode of Transform Your Mind to Transform Your Life. I hope you were inspired. I hope you got some aha moments or information from this episode. And keep investing, keep growing, whether it's financially, emotionally, spiritually. But yes, keep growing. Thanks for tuning in. Until next time, namaste.